Valenciennes, France, 2019. The air is thick with the sound of a held breath. On the penalty spot, a figure in yellow and green adjusts the ball. The boots are jet black, stripped of any brand. The lipstick is bright red, a slash of defiance. On her back is a number that carries the weight of a nation's dreams. 10. She takes one stride, one smooth, powerful strike. The net shakes. The crowd erupts. But this is more than a goal. It is the 17th time she has scored on this stage. It is a world record, and it is a message sent from a penalty spot to the entire world. Because in Brazil, the number 10 is not just a number, it is a myth. It is a story whispered in cafes and shouted in stadiums. It belongs to Pelé, the king, the man who made the yellow shirt sacred. For decades, anyone who wore it carried his ghost on their shoulders. They were expected to be a creator, a finisher, a magician. Marta Vieira da Silva did not just borrow that myth. She grabbed it, wrestled with it, and wrote a new chapter. A chapter where the magic belonged to a woman, and the story was not just about flair, but about a fight for the soul of the game itself. Her story begins far from the World Cup stage in Dois Riachos, a small town in the sun-baked state of Alagoas, in Brazil's northeast. Born in 1986, she grew up in a world where the ball was life. But it was a life, she was told, that was not for girls. Brazil had officially banned women from playing football for nearly 40 years, from 1941 to 1979. The law was gone, but its shadow remained. There were no girls' teams, no dedicated coaches, no clear path. The world was telling her no. So she learned with the boys, on pitches of dirt and stone, where the game was fast and unforgiving. Often barefoot, she developed a touch born of necessity. The ball had to stick to her feet because a loose touch meant losing it for good. You learn to win space with a shimmy, to buy time with a feint. You learn that skill alone is not enough. You need grit. She was often the only girl, the smallest player, but she had a fire that burned brighter than any insult. She wasn't just playing, she was proving she had a right to be there. One nutmeg, one goal at a time. At 14 years old, that fire propelled her onto a bus, alone. A 3-day journey from the quiet Northeast to the sprawling, chaotic metropolis of Rio de Janeiro. She had a small bag, a little money, and an invitation for a trial with the famous club Vasco da Gama. This wasn't just a trip, it was a leap of faith across a continent-sized country, leaving her family, her town, everything she knew, for the slimmest of chances. As the bus rolled through the darkness, that number 10 shirt was not a piece of clothing. It was a destination, a promise she was making to herself. Her talent was undeniable. After making her mark in Brazil, a new world called. Umeå, Sweden. It might as well have been another planet. The girl from the land of eternal summer now trained in the snow, her breath pluming in the frigid air. The language was foreign, the culture reserved, the football ruthlessly organized. Where Brazilian football breathed with improvisation, Swedish football was built on tactical discipline. It was here, in the cold and the dark of a Scandinavian winter, that Marta was forged into a complete weapon. She fused her innate Brazilian artistry with European efficiency. The flair was still there, but now it was relentless. It had a purpose. It had an engine. With Umeå, the trophies began to pile up. League titles, domestic cups, a UEFA Women's Cup. Her name echoed across Europe. The individual awards followed. In 2006, she was named the FIFA World Player of the Year. She would not relinquish that crown for 5 consecutive years. An unprecedented streak of dominance. The world was now fully aware of the phenomenon in the number 10 shirt, but it was on the biggest stage of all, the FIFA Women's World Cup, that her story would be written in both glory and heartbreak. The 2007 World Cup in China was Marta's masterpiece. At 21, she was at the peak of her powers, the undisputed leader of a Brazil team that played with breathtaking joy and swagger. They danced through the tournament, and Marta was the conductor of the orchestra. She finished as the top scorer, winning the Golden Boot. She was named the best player, winning the Golden Ball. In the semifinal, they faced the titans of the game, the United States. And in that match, Marta scored a goal that became her signature. Receiving the ball on the left wing, she faced her defender, performed an audacious back heel that nutmegged the American, spun, and curled an unstoppable shot into the far corner. It was genius. Brazil won 4-0. They were in their first ever World Cup final. The final was in Shanghai. Their opponent was Germany, a machine of a team that had a fortress for a goalkeeper. Nadine Angerer had not conceded a single goal the entire tournament. Still, Brazil attacked. Then, trailing 1-0 in the second half, a lifeline, a penalty. The world stopped. Marta, the tournament's best player, placed the ball on the spot. This was the moment to level the final, to complete the fairy tale. She struck it well, but Angerer, a wall all month, guessed correctly, diving to her right to push the ball away. The stadium gasped. In that single moment, the game showed its cruelest face. Genius can take you to the final, but history can turn on a single kick. Germany would score again, winning 2-0. Marta had the world at her feet, but the ultimate prize slipped through her fingers. Her club career became a portrait of that same resilience. She moved to the United States, the Stars signing for the new Women's Professional Soccer League. But the league was built on shaky ground. Her first club, the Los Angeles Soul, folded after just one season. She moved to FC Gold Pride and won the championship in 2010. That club folded too. She moved to the Western New York Flash and won the championship again in 2011. The league itself then collapsed. She was the best player in the world, a serial winner, but the structures around her kept crumbling. Through it all, her standard never dropped. New city, new teammates, new system, same Marta, same goals, same unrelenting drive. She returned to Europe, leading a star-studded Tirasso team to the 2014 Champions League final. In a 7-goal thriller against Wolfsburg, she was electric, scoring as her team took a 2-goal lead. But again, the trophy was denied, as Wolfsburg stormed back to win 4-3. For Brazil, the story was similar. Olympic silver medals in 2004 and 2008. Agonizingly close, twice. She became the all-time leading scorer for her country with over 170 caps and more than 115 goals. A legend by every measure, yet the two biggest crowns, the World Cup and Olympic gold, remained just out of reach. And so we returned to Valenciennes in 2019. Marta was no longer the explosive 21-year-old. She was 33, a veteran, a stateswoman, and she understood that her platform was now more powerful than ever. She wore blacked-out boots not for a brand, but for a cause, bearing a small pink and blue equal sign to campaign for gender equality in sport. It was a quiet protest on the world's biggest stage, a choice to turn down sponsorship money to make a point that was more important. The lipstick, she said, was a symbol of strength. She wasn't just there to play, she was there to speak. After scoring that record-breaking 17th World Cup goal, her work wasn't done. When Brazil was eliminated from the tournament, she found a camera and, with tears in her eyes, spoke directly to the next generation of girls in Brazil. She implored them to train more, to want more, to cry at the beginning so they could smile at the end. "There's not going to be a Marta forever," she said. "The women's game depends on you to survive." It was a raw, passionate plea, not from a footballer, but from a pioneer who had clawed a path through the wilderness and was now desperately asking others to follow, to make the path wider, to ensure her life's work would not be in vain. Her legacy is not just in the numbers, though the numbers are staggering. The most World Cup goals, man or woman, the first player to score in 5 different World Cups, 6 times the best player on the planet. Her legacy is the path itself, the journey from a town where girls couldn't play to the top of the world. She showed that the number 10 shirt in Brazil was big enough for a new story. She proved that greatness is not just what you win, but how you endure, how you fight, and what you build for those who come after. Pelé is the king, a memory encased in glory. Marta is the queen, a living, breathing standard. The story of Marta is the story of modern women's football, a story of fighting for every inch, of finding beauty in the struggle, and of leaving the shirt in a better place than you found it. She didn't just play the game, she changed it. If her story reminds you why you fell in love with football, then you're in the right place. Subscribe to Inkpitch for more of football's greatest stories, hand-drawn. Pull up a chair, we'll keep the fire warm for the next one.